DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, Dre all day. We here at Q&A 19. I am in North Carolina right now. My man is having a bachelor weekend. All my boys from college is here right now. So I'm going to knock out this video real quick. Then we're going to get to this hoops this weekend. We start with a question from Awesome Ivory. He said, I read my book. And he said, why did you change your name from Andre to Dre? Ivory, I never changed my name. My name, I go by Dre. My name never changed. There's no legal documents that says that. Mr. Potato Sack 1 says, Dre, my question is, I'm training every single day to be the best athlete and player I could possibly be. All my friends, parents, and coach seem to think that I'm overtraining myself, but I feel like I need to have a chance to compete with the best players. So my question is, should I keep at my own mindset or take the advice and tone it down? Well, Mr. Potato Sack, as far as your training goes, you need to do what works best for you. Somebody else's advice doesn't matter unless they've been in the position that you've been in. So unless they've been in that position of trying to have to work extra hard to make up the talent gap or the ability gap that you feel like you had to make, then they don't really know. If it's not hurting you in any way and it's not hurting them in any way, I don't think anyone will have a problem with you training the way that you train if it's getting you the results that you want to get. Slick Hot Bod, he asked an irrelevant question. Profaint says, I have a detailed question. All right, he says, I'm training one-on-one with a trainer. Can help you maximize your skills and helping things such as learning defenders and reading the defender that's guarding you. No, he said that's not what he said he's doing. He's just saying that as an informational statement, I guess. And he says, playing in games helps you further your experience and get used to what it feels like to play. Both of these aspects are crucial, but how much should you balance the gameplay and training to reach your full potential? Either 50-50 or 60-40, etc. And I'm new to your video. Sorry if you answered this already. Well, Profane, it's not about whether I've answered that already. It's just that it's not like you're going to be measuring it, right? It's not like you're going to go to the gym and practice for an hour and then say, all right, I have to stop because I only did an hour with my trainer the day before. That don't make no sense, right? You just need to balance it out in the way that you feel that works. It's not like I go and count like, all right, so I worked with my trainer for 2 hours so far, so now I can only work with myself for 2 hours. That don't make no sense. Why would you cut yourself short on one just because you didn't do as much as the other one? Do as much as you need to. You need to play and you need to practice to get the skills and to get the game experience, your basketball knowledge, IQ, all that. You need the total balance. You got to do a combination of everything. So it's not about actually measuring it to the minute, because it's not even about how much time you spend training. It's about what you get out of the training. So 5 minutes of intense training is better than 30 minutes of bullshit training. So stop watching the clock and just focus on doing what you need to do to get better, whatever that may be. And you already have a pretty good idea of the things you need to do, so just go do them. Tariq Aragon says, if I signed up for a basketball camp, would I get looked at just as much as in high school basketball by scouts? Tariq, whether you get looked at or not has nothing to do with what camp you sign up for or what scouts you're trying to get seen by. Whether you get looked at or not has to do with how much game you got. So if you can play, then people will find out about you. If you can't play, then nobody will pay attention to you. A lot of people always ask me questions about that, getting scouted and getting exposure. Exposure finds people who can play. So if you're not getting any exposure, then by deductive reasoning, you should be able to figure out why. Raymond Tarka says, thoughts on Mark Jackson getting fired? I don't really have any thoughts on it. I mean, it's sad for him that he lost his job, but I guess they will find a new coach who will take his place and hopefully take the team to the next level. I mean, there ain't really nothing else I can say about it. I don't really pay attention to the coaching carousel like that. LS Payne 21 says, Dre, I'm going to high school next year. I need to get stronger. Do I have some workouts that don't involve weights? LS Payne, check out the Ultimate Athlete Programs at hoophandbook.com. It's a 15-week program. Requires no weights whatsoever. It covers every area of basketball athleticism. It's written by my trainer, the one you see in the videos with me, and that gives you exactly what you asked for. E Ziggy says, what shoe brand do I like to wear the most? Shoe brand I wear the most would be Nike. Benjamin Wright says, what would you say benefited your game overall better? Gaining overall strength or gaining more agility and flexibility? I know all aspects are important, but he was curious of what I think benefited my game more. Benjamin, this is an issue that a lot of players have, young players have. I had when I was young also. We try to simplify all aspects of training and practicing down to one or two things. Like, all right, so if I could do just one thing, what should I do? Unfortunately for you and everyone else, it's not that simple. It's not that easy. You need a combination of everything. There is no one thing that's going to make you better. There's no one exercise that's going to give you game. There's no one dribbling drill that's going to make your handles better than everybody else. You need to do a combination of all the stuff that you need in order to get better. You can't just be fast and not strong, or just strong and not fast. You need to be strong and fast. Now, you asked me about overall strength, agility, and flexibility. You need all three. If you're missing any one, you're going to be at a disadvantage when you get out on the court, because the players you're playing against, the players at higher and higher levels, they're going to have all three. So if you're missing one, you're going to be at a disadvantage. So don't pigeonhole yourself. Don't pigeonhole your mind into thinking there's one thing that's better than the other things, because all that's going to do is get you in a position where you're on the court that you're going to get a rude awakening when you find out you're missing an aspect of your training that you could have been focusing on because you wanted to oversimplify. Basketball is just not that simple. If it was that easy that only one thing would make everybody good, there'd be a lot more good basketball players in the world. Andrew Smith says, when did you start playing basketball? Andrew, go to my website, dreallday.com, read my book. It's called Buy a Game, B-U-Y, the letter A, game, G-A-M-E. dreallday.com/buy a game. The book is free. You can read the PDF right here on the internet. Ambrose BKN says, who's a better point guard overall, Raymond Felton or Jeremy Lin? Who's better overall? I mean, there's really no black and white way to say that. It would just be my opinion, but if I had to pick one, I'd go with Jeremy Lin. Tony says, do you think there's a limit to how much you can progress a certain aspect in your play? No, your question is actually part of the answer, Tony. Whatever you think is your limit is your limit. So if you think you don't have a limit, then you don't have one. So that's to each player his own. I can't tell you what your limit is. You can't tell somebody else what their limit is. Nobody else can tell you what your limit is. You decide what your limits are, or if you have no limits at all. Andy Sketch Talk 23. Are there tips for playing guards? Are there tips for guarding players who are faster than me? Thanks for all the vids. Andy Sketch Talk. Well, first thing you can do is work on your own speed, quickness, and agility. I got a whole playlist on YouTube for that. You can also check out the program I mentioned earlier called The Ultimate Athlete at hoophandbook.com. Otherwise, I would say playing more games. Play against players who are faster than you. And you know what you should do when you play against a player who's better than you? A lot of players ask me questions like this. How can I guard somebody who's bigger than me? How can I guard somebody who can dribble better than me? How can I guard somebody who got a crossover and they can shoot and they're strong and they steal the ball from me and they block my shot? Listen, if you're playing against a player who's kicking your ass, when the game's over, ask that player how they kicked your ass and how you can get better. Ask the person who's kicking your ass how you can get better. They will tell you. They don't have anything to lose by giving you some advice. I mean, after all, they did just kick your ass, right? So ask them for advice. They'll tell you. You got to open your mouth and ask these people. Y'all are going to the courts playing against people who are better than you, but you're not asking them how they got good. What sense does that make? You wait until you get to YouTube and ask me. Ask them. They will help you. They'll tell you. They're players. They're doing the thing that you want to be doing, so ask them how they did it. They will share their information with you. Take what they tell you and apply it. Kneecaps says, Dre, when you earned your first contract to play overseas, did you start or come off the bench during that season? My first time playing overseas, I was a starter. Everywhere I played, I was pretty much a starter. Shamar Jones says, he didn't say anything. Tyler 11207 says, do you ever play with any NBA players before? If you did, who? Tyler, yes. If you go to my website, go to the FAQ page, you'll see that I actually covered that and named those people by name who I played with. Go to my website and read that page. Steve Rosemont says, in your own opinion, do you think there were reasons why you didn't play in the D-League training camp after the 2012 tryout? Yeah, Steve Rosemont, go to I posted a video about the D-League tryout I went to, and if you go to my Facebook page and you go back to that date, I actually put a long Facebook update on my page about that exact situation. So if you go back and read that, you'll see what I said, and I explained that. Not explain it, but I talked about it in detail. Leo Garcia says, I want to get some hoop handbooks, but is there any way I can get a sample of the workouts that are in them or something like that? Well, Leo, I put it like this, and this for anyone else. If you watch the videos I post on YouTube and you like the way I break things down and explain it, then you'll like the hoop handbook. And if you don't like it, then you probably won't like the hoop handbook. That's as much of a sample as I can give you. Nick Rebuck says, how are you able to play on a court that you don't have to pay or be a member of? Nick, I don't understand the question, what you're asking me. If you want to play basketball, go find a court and play. I mean, all this, what are you're focusing on paying money or being a member of a gym? I'm sure you know some basketball court you don't have to pay for. Outdoor courts are free. So if that's all you got, I'm assuming that. I don't know. Based on your question, I don't really have any information. I don't even know what you're asking me about or what information you're basing this question on. Jared Jenkins says, do I like that Bradley Beal and Ray Allen are compared to each other that all these sports commentators and analysts talk about? Because I've been hearing it a lot lately. Well, Jared, I haven't really heard that, but I can understand the similarities. They're both shooting guards, both about 6'5", and they're both really good shooters. So yeah, I can understand the comparisons, but aside from that, I never really thought about it. Azariel Agiapong says, how do you prepare for high school basketball? You prepare by having game. Work on your fucking game. I mean, what else do you want me to tell you? You gotta ask me a better question than how do you prepare for something. If you want to play basketball, you practice, you work, you get better, you develop your skills, you keep going. KD MVP Thunder 7 says, Dre, do you have any tips on pull-up jump shots? If you want to get better at shooting pull-up jump shots, go to the court, practice your pull-up jump shots until you make them motherfuckers. As simple as that. I mean, people be asking me, do I have tips on stuff? Just go work on the shit. I mean, I don't know what else to tell y'all. It's as simple as that. Momit Singh says, where can we see sample workouts of Hoop Handbook? I don't want to just read what's in them. Momit, you can refer to the question I answered earlier. If you want a sample workout, if you like the way that I post the stuff online, you like that stuff, that it'll work for you. If you don't like it, it won't work for you. And that's fine with me. Whichever way you decide, I don't have a problem with it. Daniel Castillo says, you plan to do a special vid or something when you hit 100,000 subscribers? I don't know. We got to see that I hit 100,000 first. I ain't there yet, so who knows? Maybe everybody will stop liking me and I won't never get there. So we got to make sure I get to that number first before I even start planning the celebration. Siobhan Daly says, Dre, I lose confidence when I shoot the basketball and people say I miss. I always seem to miss, even though I'm a pretty good shooter. Do you know what I can do to overcome these type of distractions? Play more against people who will tell you that you want to miss. Go to the guides and tips page on my website where I talk about developing confidence. I have videos already posted talking about confidence, making shots. Put yourself in the situations that are causing you problems and keep putting yourself in them until they no longer cause you problems. It's the only way you're going to get over it. You can't think or talk or YouTube watch your way out of your situations. You got to work through them. You got to go walk up to them and work through those problems. They're not going to just dissolve and go away just because you're getting scared about them. Jeezy Dog PSN says, can you give me tips on developing confidence and consistency in my left hand? If you actually go to the search bar right now, type my name in, type in left hand. I got a bunch of drills that isolate one hand, so even if you're left-handed, you can just do the same thing on your right hand. That will develop your left hand. You do it every day, you will see improvement. So all you got to do is put in the work. The drills is already there for you. Andrea Vinci says, what's the best way to increase lateral quickness? You just got to work on lateral quickness. Go to the speed and quickness playlist on my channel. A bunch of speed and quickness videos posted there if you look for a program. Check out the 15-week Ultimate Athlete that is posted at hoophandbook.com. Zane E says, do signature workouts include strength training? If not, is it necessary to include some sort of weight training? Also, John Wall, Brandon Roy, Sean Marion, and Scottie Pippen seem like good ideas for signature workouts. The signature workouts, no, they're mostly based on basketball skills, so it's mostly on-court stuff with an actual basketball. If you're looking for strength training, I do have a strength training program. It's written by my trainer, Maria. It's called Position of Power. That's at hoophandbook.com. Reason I didn't put so much strength training in the signature workouts because I'm not a personal trainer. So I think if you wanted strength training advice, you would want it from somebody who's a professional at that. So you should get basketball advice from somebody who's a professional at basketball. That's why I cover more basketball. You want strength, something that deals with the body, get it from somebody who deals with the body as a professional. That would be my trainer, Ultimate Athlete, and Position of Power. So that's why I had them split up like that. Rob J says, do I only allow questions that are basketball related? No. Chris JB says, Dre, I've joined a new team. I'm not 100% confident in practice and playing in quick matchups. Any tips to gain confidence with a new team and develop chemistry with the other players? Well, you don't just gain confidence. If you want confidence, you have to go do something in order to have it. The definition of confidence is a belief and an ability that you have. Only way you get the belief is by actually doing it. So the normal question that follows up to that was, if I never did it, how can I have confidence? Well, you can fake it, you can go do it, get your ass kicked, come back, keep getting your ass kicked until you stop getting your ass kicked. That's really the only way you're going to get there. You can't, like I said, you can't think your way to it. You can't talk your way to it. You can't watch YouTube videos to be good. You have to actually go do something, and then you will start to develop the skills, you'll develop the confidence, and then you'll get better. If you want your teammates to be confident in you and to believe in you and to pass you the ball, when they give you the ball, do something with it. If you don't do nothing with it, then you shouldn't be getting the ball. Johnny Adane says, Dre, can you make a video about IQ and how a person can get IQ better for basketball? It's a good timing that you asked that. I got a video on that. It will be coming out within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Frosty Breast says, Dre, I feel like I'm having a lack of aggression when trying to score, similar to how Darren Williams is feeling during the Heat series, where I tend to look to pass more than shoot. Do you think this is a lack of confidence? Because most of the times I come in full court games not feeling nervous, but I do I don't do much except play D. Do you have anything you can say to help me, or do I need to figure this out on my own? Well, as far as having a lack of aggression to score the ball, similar to how D Will is feeling during the Heat series. Okay, it's funny you say that because as of the date I'm recording this, the Heat just eliminated the Brooklyn Nets. If you're having a problem with aggression when trying to score the ball, I would say, well, number one thing you need to do is you need to play in more games. And to be aggressive, people ask me this often, like, how can you make yourself aggressive? What thoughts do you have to make yourself aggressive? What can you say to yourself to make yourself aggressive? But number one thing that each of you has to understand is that every human being is wired differently. Our brains all work differently. Like, there might be something that you could say to me that's going to put me in a really aggressive mood, or something you could say to me that's going to make me angry. But if you say the exact same thing to somebody else, they could just laugh at it and not even pay attention. Another person could look at it and not even consider it. So you have to find what your triggers are mentally. What are your triggers that get you in an aggressive mood? What are the triggers that get you to play in that aggressive style that you want to play in? That is your job to do. That's part of your mental game. And the mental game is 90% of the sport. Once you get the physical down, if you don't have the mental, that whole 10% of the physical won't even matter. So your mental work is part of it. When I say work on your game, it's not just talking about dribbling and shooting and crossovers. You got to know how your brain works. What works for you? What gets you in the zone to perform at the level you need to perform at? So that's something that you do need to work at on your own, but I am giving you some information, so now you got to do the work. Tough Tanny says, Dre, when shooting, is the goal to have the best form or to make shots? I'm asking your opinion because a lot of coaches in AAU leagues say different answers. Well, Tough Tanny, well, think about it. Let's say we're playing in a basketball game right now, me and you. And I say, Tough Tanny, I'll bet you $1,000 I can make more shots than you. So let's say I got the ugliest form in the world and I make 10 out of 10. And you got the most perfect form in the world. You make 5 out of 10 and I win the $1,000. Who had more success in that moment, me or you? You know that it would be me because I made the shots. The goal of basketball is only 3 objectives in basketball. In offense, the goal is to make shots. On defense, the goal is to stop your opponent from making shots. And at the end of the game, the goal is to have more points than the other team. So if you accomplish those goals while staying within the rules of the game, you win. So it's not about what your shot looks like. If your shot looks perfect and it's not going in, who cares? So you got to make shots. That is the number one goal. The goal of offense is to score points. If you're missing shots with a perfect form, nobody cares. So make shots. Dmitry Tukovic says, Dre, what are your plans for summer? Are you going to go to training camp? Are you going to try for the NBA? Are you going to be searching for one overseas? Dimitri, look at the video I put out last fall. Just search my name, type in my name, type in overseas. You'll see the video I made, put out last September or October, where I basically talked about all the stuff that's going on as far as pro basketball goes. And I still, where I stand now is the same place I stood then. So just check that video out. It's about 40 minutes long. I talk about everything in detail. Everything you just asked about is covered in that video. Anthony Aguilar says, who's your favorite rapper? Somebody asks me this question like every week. Favorite rapper is 50 Cent. Joey Colley says, do you think Al Jefferson should have been an all-star or at least a reserve over Roy Hibbert? Besides the block category, Jefferson has better numbers. Well, Joe, you forgot about the wins and losses category, where Roy Hibbert has a lot better numbers. So the answer to your question is no. Lil Mo 102 says, do you think the NBA age limit should be raised to 20? No, I don't think the age limit should be raised. I think there shouldn't be an age limit, just like we could send people to war and get killed for our country at age 18, but you can't go play basketball. You can play tennis, you can play baseball, you can play hockey, you can be a gymnast, but you can't play basketball, so that doesn't make sense to me. Chris V says, Dre, I'm starting to run 5 kilometers every week, but when I run, I get these really weird side stitches. Any tips on better running form to attempt to avoid these side stitches? Well, Chris V, 5 kilometers is not really that far. If you're running 5 kilometers every week and you're getting side stitches, you might have some medical or physiological issue, and I don't even know what a side stitch is. So you might have to give me a little bit more detail, and even when you get that, you should probably go see a doctor because that's not really my area of expertise, so I don't want to give you bad information. You go injure yourself worse, and then you blame me for it. So go see a doctor. Chiz V. Last question. I can't believe it's Jay. Said, Dre, I'm 14, I'm British, I live in Cyprus. I have 2 questions. Usually I only answer 1 question for the record, but since you're the last one, I'll answer both. He says, which Hoop Handbook program has proven to produce better results for a point guard? All right, to answer that question, all right, produce better results is a very vague question. What do you mean by produce better results? So how do you define results, and how do you define what's better? So your question is very vague. If you're looking for certain skill levels. Look at the players whose programs we got. When we talk about point guards, you're talking about, let's say, Allen Iverson, Kyrie Irving, Stephen Curry, Chris Paul, Tony Parker, Damian Lillard, Steve Francis, Stephon Marbury, Gary Payton, John Stockton. Look at the program descriptions and figure out which player's program best suits what you want to have in your game, and then go with that one. Or you could go with the point guard package, which is all 16 of them together. And the second question is, my dream is to play in Europe, hopefully NCAA Division I ball. How can I put myself out there for scouts to notice me and recruit me? If you want scouts to notice you and recruit you, the first thing you had to do is work on your game so that you actually have some skills that anybody would give a damn about. So that's the first thing you need to do, is develop some game. The second thing you need to do is go play somewhere that people will see you and show that game that you developed. So there is no, you don't have to strategize about putting yourself out there. I feel like a lot of young players these days are so focused on getting exposure and how they can get seen that you forget that you actually have to have some game. And when you get exposed, you know, getting exposure could go one of two ways. All right, you could get exposed in a positive way, as in this guy's pretty good. Look at him, he's got game. But you could also get exposed in a way of somebody busting your ass in front of a bunch of people, and damn, you just got killed. And now everybody saw it. So you might not want any exposure yet. You might want to develop some game first. Once you get some game, you won't have to worry about exposure, because the exposure will come to you. So get the game first, worry about exposure later. That's it. That's all, everybody. Thank you for the questions. Questions got a lot better this week, so we're going to keep the Q&As going. As always, one question per person. Ask me a good question. Make it good. Keep it short. All Q&A questions are cut off on Friday afternoon. Today is Friday, May 16th, about 7 p.m. This video goes up on Saturday. Any questions in it you got that was not covered here on the previous Q&As, leave them in the comments right here. Do not respond to the comments of somebody else's question. I will get to them next week. Appreciate everybody watching. Work on your fucking game. DreAllDay.com.
Yo, this Fernando from France. Work on your game.